One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing.
Yes.
A beast. She is the truth.
And Caitlin Clark is off that shit now. She let it all slide the first year. They was pushing her and all that. She like, you know what?
I'm in here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here. And this is what it's gonna be this year.
And Clark finally stood up for herself. No more stand.
Caitlin Clark didn't enter the league like most rookies, quietly finding her footing. She stormed in loud, fearless, and unshaken, turning heads with logo-range threes and no-look passes only she could see. She didn't wait for the spotlight. She claimed it, and legends took notice. Larry Bird, a man of few but weighty words, called what she's doing not just impressive but historic, and when Bird speaks, the basketball world listens. Clark hasn't just arrived. She shifted the entire landscape of women's basketball, commanding conversations from Hall of Fame coaches, former All-Stars, and media giants alike. Her rise isn't a moment but a movement. She's a force of nature, a disruptor, a cultural flashpoint who changes the energy in every arena and redefines what's possible every time she takes the floor. Some see her as the future, others already call her the best show in basketball, but either way this isn't hype, it's history unfolding in real time. Even before the stats and record chases, she achieved something rare. She made the game matter to everyone, pulling in fans, legends, and voices that shaped the narrative of sports. When Stephen A. Smith, the loudest voice in basketball media, brings her up unprompted, it's not just a take, it's a sign. Caitlin Clark isn't riding a wave, she is the wave.
Totally applaud what Caitlin Clark is doing. She's putting the WNBA first. She's saying, yo, we matter first to me. We should matter first to the...
Stephen A. Smith, one of the most outspoken, critical, and unfiltered voices in sports media, isn't just defending Caitlin Clark, he's celebrating her, not only for her shooting and scoring but for something deeper, her priorities. Clark isn't simply playing the game, she's elevating it, walking into press conferences with poise and purpose, reminding the world that women's basketball isn't a sideshow, it's the main event. Every bucket, every pass, every quote carries weight beyond herself. She's lifting an entire league with her. NBA legends see it, and now the world is starting to as well. When Magic Johnson compares her impact to his own, that's not just praise, it's a coronation. Magic knows what it means to be bigger than a star, to change how the game looks, feels, and is talked about. For him to put Clark in that same conversation signals something rare, legacy-level respect.
Because, to your point, they dominated in college, and...
As you both did?
Yes. And then they brought it over to the WNBA, just like we brought it to the NBA. We changed the NBA, they changed the W.
When Magic Johnson, a Hall of Famer who once redefined basketball alongside Larry Bird, aligns Caitlin Clark's impact with what they did for the NBA, that's not casual praise, it's history recognizing itself in the making. Magic sees how Clark commands attention, wears the spotlight like part of her uniform, and transforms women's basketball from a league into a movement, bringing new fans, bigger audiences, fresh investment, and the momentum the game has long needed. And then there's Coach K, the blueprint of coaching excellence, 5 national titles, 3 Olympic golds, countless NBA stars under his wing, saying he would have loved to coach her. That's not just respect, that's a statement. For a man who has worked with LeBron, Kobe, KD, and Curry to look at Clark and call her special, rare, and worth building around, it signals something undeniable. She isn't just part of the story of basketball, she's shaping its future.
She's terrific, and it'd be easy to build something on her because she's the best thing she does is pass. She's a magical passer, and she has a great feel for the game. So, I mean, what her coach did, I would have done exactly what she did. Make sure she handles the ball a lot, and she'll make every...
The scoring is obvious, the logo 3's impossible to ignore, but what Coach K zeroes in on with Caitlin Clark is something deeper. Her passing, her feel, her ability to control a game without ever forcing it. He calls her a magical passer, a word that speaks less to raw assists and more to vision, timing, anticipation, and the invisible plays that actually win games. Clark doesn't just run an offense, she elevates everyone within it, and when a coach who's worked with the greatest basketball minds alive says, "I would have done exactly what she did," it's more than praise, it's approval. It's recognition of a leader, a connector, a generational basketball IQ wrapped into one player. And sometimes the simplest answers say the most. Luka Doncic, MVP candidate and one of the most unstoppable players in the NBA, isn't a man of long speeches. He doesn't hype for the sake of hype. So when asked on camera who his favorite women's basketball player is, he didn't pause, didn't hesitate, didn't even think twice.
Who's your favorite women's basketball player?
Caitlin Clark.
Really?
That's it. That's all Luka had to say, and honestly, it's the most Luka answer possible because real ones recognize real. He knows what it means to walk into a league with expectations strapped to your back and still take command from day one. So when he watches Caitlin Clark, he doesn't just see talent, he sees control, the same kind of command that defines his own game. He's not a WNBA analyst throwing out takes. He's giving a name straight from instinct, and that's why it hits harder. There are 1,000 ways to call someone great, but when a player like Luka, whose greatness is built on feel and instinct, gives you that nod, it tells you everything. Clark isn't just popular, she's respected at the highest level. Her game translates, her swagger carries, and she impresses people who dominate the sport every single night. In just a few words, Luka told the basketball world that Caitlin Clark isn't making waves, she's already got the best watching. And that's how you know you've broken through, when your name isn't just paired with basketball icons but with cultural forces. Colin Cowherd doesn't deal in hot takes, he builds narratives that connect sports to society. So when he places Caitlin Clark alongside Tiger Woods, LeBron James, and Taylor Swift, he isn't just talking about success. He's talking about impact, about people who didn't just dominate their fields but changed how the world viewed them. And then, without hesitation, he adds her name.
Reese is a good player. She's not a phenomenon. Tiger was. LeBron was. Taylor Swift is. Caitlin Clark is.
This isn't a knock on Angel Reese. It's a spotlight on just how rare Caitlin Clark really is. Phenoms don't show up often. They're the ones who shift TV ratings, sell out arenas, crash ticket sites, and turn an ordinary Tuesday night game into must-see basketball. That's what Clark is doing, not just for the WNBA but for the sport as a whole. She's not waiting for the league to catch up, she's dragging it into the spotlight herself. So when Colin Cowherd mentions her name alongside Tiger Woods and LeBron James, he's not talking about potential, he's talking about presence. Caitlin Clark doesn't just have the spotlight, she is the spotlight. And with that comes weight. Every move gets magnified, every play dissected. She plays with fire, and that's part of what makes her special, but it also paints the biggest target on her back. As Michael Thompson points out, the pressure doesn't just come from opponents, it can come from the system around her. That flagrant foul wasn't just a play, it was a reminder of what comes with being the face of the league.
Flagrant foul that she committed the other day, I thought it was a hard foul. I didn't think it was a flagrant foul, but I think they do that, Dan, because they overreact to everything Caitlin does. Is they don't want to show like they're showing any favoritism to her. So we got to upgrade it to a flagrant foul, because if we don't, then people say, well, we're protecting her by not upgrading it to a flagrant foul. So I think that's why the referees over.
This is a former NBA champion, the father of a perennial all-star, saying what many already believe. Caitlin Clark is under a microscope. The spotlight she's earned doesn't just showcase her game, it magnifies her every move. And the fear of appearing biased has created bias in the opposite direction, with Clark being held to a different standard not only by critics but by officials. Yet she keeps showing up, carrying that weight like it's just part of her warm-up. Because when you shift culture, people don't always know how to react. But Caitlin does. She just keeps hooping. There's analysis, there's polished commentary, and then there's Jeff Teague. Raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically blunt, he doesn't bother with media training or careful phrasing. So when Caitlin Clark's name comes up, he doesn't spin, doesn't sugarcoat. He just tells the truth.
You being real, what do Angel Reese get that Caitlin Clark don't get? Why was she?
If you're being real, what does Angel Reese have that Caitlin Clark doesn't, or won't soon have? Why would she hate her? Jeff Teague isn't stirring drama or pushing a rivalry. He's addressing the elephant in the room. The tension, the comparisons, the way two young stars who should be carrying women's basketball forward together keep getting framed like enemies in a rivalry they never asked for. What Teague's really pointing out is the double standard. The narrative that every headline has to be a battle. And through it all, Caitlin Clark just keeps showing up, playing her game and catching heat for being excellent at it. He's not criticizing Angel, he's questioning the hate. Why is it that when Clark earns attention, it feels like someone else has to lose? Why is her success met with resentment instead of recognition? The truth is, nothing's being handed to her. She's earning it every night with logo threes, full-court dimes, and sold-out arenas. That's why Teague doesn't hedge, doesn't shade, he just keeps it real. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who you root for, it's about respecting the players who change the game. And Caitlin Clark is doing exactly that. Every star eventually hits the tipping point, the moment admiration flips to agitation, when the one who once captured everyone's attention becomes the one everyone wants to beat. For Clark, that moment came fast, and as Gilbert Arenas says, she didn't just walk into the villain role. She owned it.
Was a bad guy. She was the one that was with everybody doing all this, waving, turning her back on everybody. Everybody's like, oh, she's a cocky.
That kind of reaction only happens when you're disrupting the rhythm of the game in the comfort of your opponents. Caitlin Clark isn't out here trying to fit in, she's trying to win. And sometimes winning looks like waving defenders off, turning your back after a dagger 3, or carrying the kind of confidence that makes people uncomfortable. Gilbert Arenas isn't criticizing that swagger, he's spotlighting it. Because he knows the difference between arrogance and weaponized confidence, he lived it and he sees it in Caitlin. She's not just scoring, she's dictating tempo, pace, and emotion. She gets under your skin and then beats you anyway. And that's why people talk, because if she wasn't this good, nobody would care what she said or how she carried herself. There's hype and then there's being the main event. Caitlin Clark isn't just boosting ratings, she's the headliner, the reason fans tune in, the name opponents circle on the calendar. And when WNBA legend Cynthia Cooper sat down with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, the conversation wasn't about wins or stats, it was about what everybody wants to see.
See in the WNBA All-Star game, I want to see Sabrina Ionescu shoot against Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see that three-point shooting contest.
Yeah, facts. That's dope. Hopefully it'll be there. It's in Indiana this year, right?
This isn't just casual talk. This is a Hall of Famer voicing what fans, players, and executives already know. Caitlin Clark isn't just another name in the WNBA, she's the show. She's bringing entertainment value that cuts beyond the league itself. People don't just want to see her compete, they want to see her light up the stage. A shootout with Sabrina isn't just a matchup, it's an event. It's made for TV, a must-watch moment that elevates both stars and gives the league the rivalry it craves. That's the Caitlin effect. When people tune in because of you, even for an all-star showcase, you're not just talented, you're box office. And then there's Larry Bird. A man who's never wasted words, but when he talks, the basketball world listens. This season, he's made it clear he's watching Clark closely. While critics and opponents have tried to test her, Bird sees something familiar in her response. Not excuses, but fire. Night after night, she absorbs the hits, drowns out the noise, and keeps delivering. For Bird, it's more than impressive, it's personal. He knows what it means to be targeted for greatness. And seeing Clark stand tall, unshaken, and fighting back, that makes him proud.
Caitlin Clark finally stood up for herself. No more staying quiet. Seeing her shut down Angel Reese was just the start. Now it's her turn to go at the other woke players who thought she wouldn't fight.
Larry Bird's message couldn't have been clearer. He's proud of Caitlin Clark for fighting back, not with words but with her game. Bird, who built his legacy on toughness and never backing down, sees something of himself in the way Clark holds her ground. For him, it's not about silencing doubters, it's about proving she belongs. And with Bird backing her, the message to the league is simple. Keep talking, Caitlin will keep answering. Then there's LeBron James. When he speaks, headlines move. His words don't just echo through the sport, they shape it. So when he jumped on Twitter during opening week to shout out Caitlin, triple-double Caitlin. Great way to kick off the season. It wasn't just a compliment. Coming from LeBron, that's validation, a signal that someone new has entered the rarest air. He knows what it's like to carry a league before you're even ready, to live under the pressure of constant scrutiny, to have every game feel like a referendum. And now, watching Caitlin handle that same weight, he recognizes it instantly. He's not just praising the numbers, he's acknowledging her presence. That one tweet meant she belongs, period. And with LeBron, that kind of endorsement isn't hype. It's respect from the highest level. Sometimes, though, the boldest statements don't come from legends, they come from those who've lived in the fire. Rashad McCants isn't a casual fan. He's been in the league, felt the pressure, seen how fast the love turns to hate. So when he flat out says, "The face of the NBA is Caitlin Clark," it sounds like hyperbole, until you realize he's not just talking about her skill. He's talking about her composure. Her ability to take constant criticism, non-stop pressure, and glaring double standards and still perform like nothing touches her. That, he says, is what makes her rare. And he's not predicting she might be great someday. He's saying she already carries herself like the game's biggest names. Not just in the WNBA but across the entire sport. The fact that we're even having this conversation says it all. Caitlin Clark has forced her way to the table. When GOAT talk shows up this early, it's not hype anymore. It's the beginning of a legacy. Love her or hate her, you can't ignore her. She's the headline before tip-off and the viral clip after the buzzer. She's shifting the league, moving the media, and dragging an entire sport into the spotlight with every step-back three and every dagger stare-down. She's got the legends speaking louder, the critics sounding smaller, and the culture bending toward her. Caitlin Clark isn't just living up to the hype. She's rewriting it, shot by shot, game by game in real time. If this is what her sophomore season looks like, we're not just watching a breakout year. We're watching the start of something seismic. The face of the league, the spark of a movement, the birth of a legacy few athletes in any sport ever get to write. The stage is hers now. And the way this story's unfolding, it's obvious she's only just getting started.